Well, good morning, everyone. It's great to have you all with us for our information session this morning. My name is Carol Malice, and I'm the Executive Director of Rhode Island Bio. Rhode Island Bio is Rhode Island's life sciences trade organization, and we provide our members advisory services, information sharing, events, and training such as the one we're going to be talking about today. Our leadership development training that you're listening in on is designed for both emerging and advanced leaders, for those people just getting started in their careers and for those who've been working for a while and would like some extra skills as they lead their teams. In particular, this session, we are going to be focusing on managing remote teams since we're facing these COVID-19 times. And we hope you'll come away with some new ideas and some best practices for how to continue to be productive and how to inspire your teams and your colleagues to continue to be, to do their best work and to meet the challenges we're facing today. I want to thank the Department of Labor for funding this project, all the companies and organizations who have sent you, people who are rejoining us, and for people who are coming on to the training for the first time. You're going to be in expert hands with our Rhode Island Bio Program Manager, Stacy Carter, and with Mary Ann Snow, the CEO and founder of Sophaya and our lead trainer. Mary Ann is going to give you the high level today of the training and explain how the training will run. And with that, I will turn it over to Mary Ann.
Great. Thanks, everyone. It's so great to be with you today. I know that, you know, we've been spending a lot of time with screens lately, and certainly everybody is much more familiar with video conferencing than they could have ever imagined they would have been 8 or even 9 months ago. Who can believe that we're practically into October in 2020, and much of our time has been spent not only on video chat, but probably navigating masks. So as we talk about the programs today, one of the things that as Carol and Stacy and I thought about very relevant skills in this particular time frame, how one navigates in a often digital and often virtual environment continues to be pretty much everyone's theme right at this particular point in time. What some of you might be familiar with, because we've had an opportunity to meet over the years, I've had the privilege of working with Carol and Stacy at Rhode Island Bio for several years now, and have had the pleasure of meeting many people from your organizations who have been through our first and our second sessions in our leading workshops, leadership workshops. And yet what you may not know, for those of you who are familiar with the previous programs, is that my company, Sophaya, very specifically works with organizations that has a dispersed or remote component. So we help organizations not only launch remote work programs, but we also help organizations maximize productivity for dispersed teams. And so this is kind of our sweet spot. And there is, it is with real pleasure that I can say to you that we're bringing every single piece of our experience to these programs. So when we talk about leading your teams in COVID times, we not only can give you best practices that are associated with remote, virtual, and dispersed teamwork and leading organizations that are navigating those workplace environments, but we can also talk to you about our best practices and learnings that have come to us over the past 8 and 9 months as we've worked with healthcare organizations, different pharmaceutical companies, different other life science companies, to help them navigate during crisis times. And we're bringing all of that information to you today. Obviously, we wanted to give you a brief introduction into Rhode Island Bio so that you know this resource that's available to you. Carol is an indefatigable, advocate for life sciences in Rhode Island. And she's very passionate, very good at what she does. And so to have this partnership with her has been a real pleasure. We also wanted to talk about the overall goals for the program so that there is clarity on what it is that we're trying to accomplish. We're going to talk a little bit about the special considerations, the special COVID-19 crisis considerations that we've built into the programs, the program format and the requirements. And we're going to give you lots and lots of time for Q&A. As with moderated forums, and this is very true for the way that we're going to structure the programs this year, moderated forums require a certain amount of their production quality, because you have to have people who are watching the technology behind the scenes, as well as folks who are presenting the material, so that you can get people into the conversation and get them engaged. And today is no different. So what we'll be doing is Stacy will be monitoring the chat window, and I want you to freely feel the opportunity to jump right into that chat, leave your comments, leave any questions that you have. I'll be taking periodic breaks to consult with Stacy to see if we have anything outstanding. But the other piece is I'll be going around the room on occasion just to kind of do check-ins, so that we can make sure that you're not feeling that you don't have a voice, but we also just want to make sure that you're understanding how we're going to be doing things during the programs themselves. As Carol mentioned, Rhode Island Bio is really a force for life sciences in the Rhode Island market, and in a very short period of time, because Rhode Island Bio has only been around for a few years now, they have really defined the voice of the life science community here in Rhode Island. And one of the things that we're trying to do, Sophia is trying to do as the learning partner, as Rhode Island Bio's learning partner, is to bring the most relevant skills that speak to the realities of leadership at any point in a life science professional's career, because very often what made you successful and got you promoted is not necessarily what's going to make you successful in the next step. And once you have mastered management and have started to learn basic skills related to supervising people, the messiest part of leadership, by the way. Now you have a second piece, which is how do you start being more strategic in your thinking? So we're really attacking leadership not only at a more entry level, more early stage, but also as more of an executive function. We're in this particular time period, because of the challenges that COVID-19 has presented to every organization around the globe. We're thinking about the realities of leadership in COVID-19 times. And so we've structured the content, we're structuring the format, and we're structuring the programming itself and the formats of the program so that we can make the most of this unprecedented moment, really help people think about how do you navigate during this time period. And we're going to talk very frankly about some of the challenges of this particular environment that are so unique today. The program framework emphasizes participant safety, as well as an acknowledgement that people might be working in non-traditional schedules. And so we have taken a broad-based approach, and we'll talk about the specifics of the program format. But I will not hesitate to tell you that there's a huge commitment to high quality professional development and an engaged experience. And this is not the first time that we've run programs in this circumstance. And I can talk to you more about some of the crisis management series that we ran for physician leaders in the Rhode Island hospital environment, and also other programs that we've been managing that really allowed people to have a safe place to come and talk about the unique challenges that are happening today. And that is something that we think is extremely, extremely important. Nobody's going to say that this is a normal circumstance. And as somebody who has been leading and managing remote teams and dispersed teams for a very, very, very long time, I will tell you that this is not remote work. This is not typical remote work. That COVID-19 has created stressors and unique challenges that are above and beyond anything that one would see if you were using remote work or a dispersed team strategy as a business choice that you were applying to your business in order to give your business a differentiator or to leverage global talent or any of the reasons that you might choose to do that in normal circumstances. Because of COVID-19, you know, there is an emphasis not just on skills for leading these teams, but also how do you manage crisis? Right at this point in time, there's still anticipation of an additional surge in the fall. What does that look like? People are still saying, do we bring people back? Don't we bring people back? Essential workers have been on the job the whole time. Mental health is a continued issue, and nobody knows what the future is going to look like. Add on top of that, childcare is a big challenge for any of your employees or team members who have children at home. So there are a lot of big challenges that exist now that we wouldn't necessarily have to deal with. And we're going to incorporate discussions on all these things. We will be doing virtual delivery, and we're acknowledging that, trying to keep people on, you know, a Zoom call for 2-3 hours is, first of all, we think it's counterproductive. And second of all, we actually think that it won't hit the mark. And so we'll talk about what it is that we'll be doing for live stream sessions. How we'll be accommodating, how we'll be prepping people for those sessions, what we're going to be doing for those sessions. And we want you to know that we've built in one-on-one coaching sessions for every participant. As an experienced executive coach, I'll be meeting with every single participant twice during the program. We'll be doing 30-minute time slots to discuss very specific things that are associated with their environments, because there's a lot of variability, particularly today. And so anybody participating in the program will not just get the benefit of group discussion and best practices at the group level, but they'll also be spending time with me directly. And we'll be doing supplemental online content in the form of not only pre-recorded sessions on particular topics that we think are vital, but we'll also be suggesting different podcasts, different video series, TED Talks that we also think are complementary. And then finally, one of the cornerstones of the program that we think it has been such a help for any participant is a capstone project. And the capstone we'll talk a little bit more about, and we'll certainly talk more about that as we get closer to the start date. But the capstone itself, because I am rooted in business and rooted in operations, I think like a business person. I tend to look at things from an operational point of view and think about things in relation to how do you operationalize a concept. The capstones were always designed just as any assignments or really any learning content has always been been tailored towards applicability, and that's something that we think is very, very, very important. So before I go on to the next slide, I know that we've had some folks who have popped into the chat window. Stacy, do we have any questions that we could address right now, or we just have folks who are sharing their thoughts with us?
Most of it was me, but the one question we do have, which kind of will follow what you just said, will there be digital documentation to review after each session? So I responded by saying we'll be using Teams for docs, videos, relevant articles, but the homework will only be tools learned, no readings unless you want additional helpful stuff.
Yeah, we're not going to
No fluff.
overburden you, but we are going to share content that we think is relevant. We'll be recording all the sessions so that you'll have those as a reference point, and you will have some pre-recorded sessions as well. So there'll be some video viewing, and we're going to really kind of keep things focused on the particular topics of the time. So what does this look like, right? What do the programs look like? Well, we're taking what we're calling a hybrid approach. And while many of the interactions, the majority of the interactions are going to take place in a virtual environment, we will also in the coaching sessions, depending on where you're located and what your schedule is like, I am open to potentially meeting in a socially responsible way to do some of the coaching sessions. We can also do those virtually. So that's a possibility. But there will be 7 90-minute live video stream sessions. That means that 7 different topics, 7 different events, education events that will happen via video chat in a moderated forum. We'll be using Zoom, so we'll be using breakout sessions, and so there will be small group discussion, moderated small group discussion, as well as moderated large group discussion. And we'll be applying a variety of learning tools in these environments to make sure that people's voices are heard, that people are feeling engaged, and also that they have lots of opportunity to really participate in thought-provoking conversations, as well as hear from folks who have operated in these environments and have done that effectively. We'll be running these sessions every Thursday. The Emerge cohort will run from 9 to 10:30 Eastern Standard Time, and then the Advanced cohort will run from 11 to 12:30 Eastern Standard Time. We will be recording these sessions. As I mentioned, I'll also be doing supplemental pre-recorded video that will be related to specific topics that I feel are relevant for the group. You, for anybody who's actually had a chance to work with me in the past, one of the things you'll find is we've created a curriculum, but we also respond to the needs of the cohort. And so we always leave a little bit of flexibility in everything we're doing so that we can address real life issues that people are grappling with as they come to class. So for those who are thinking about participating, we hope that you will come to your sessions knowing that it's a safe place for us to have lots of conversations about lots of different things. And then we'll be doing very simple bi-weekly on-the-job assignments. You know, if we're talking about a concept, whether it's how to run very effective online meetings, whether it is how do you manage difficult conversations in a virtual environment, I'm going to really kind of tailor assignments in a way that will allow you to be able to take the concepts from the learning sessions, bring them back to your job environments and test them out, try them out. You can do that with family, with friends, with your team, with your colleagues, with your boss. And we're doing that on purpose so that each week you can not only be theoretical, you know, in that 90-minute session, and you can also take that theory and apply it in practice. We'll be doing the 2 30-minute virtual executive coaching sessions. These are one-on-one sessions. You get me for any problem that is a burning problem for a participant. So we'll talk through those things, and I'll help you sort through things from a strategic point of view, and help you brainstorm approaches that you can apply that are going to be relevant. And then the capstone projects vary from the emerge class to the advanced class, just mostly because of the nature of the period of time that people are at in their career path. So the emerging programs, the capstones in those programs are really designed for the emerging leader to take just a concentrated look at what are their professional and personal objectives. What would you like to accomplish in the next 12 to 24 months? And then we'll help you build that plan. So you're going to build it as you go. It'll happen over this 7-week time period that the program will run. So by the end of the year, you'll have something that you can share not only with a supervisor at your organization, if you so choose. You can share it with a mentor, or just have it for your own portfolio as your guidepost to be able to move a career forward. And then for folks who are a little more advanced in their career, we're going to help you to identify a business challenge that you've got right now, something that is relevant to your particular organization. And then your capstones, the capstones in the advanced group, will be focused on creating a full strategic plan. What are some of the considerations? How do you develop a strategy versus a tactical implementation plan? How do you create budgets? How do you sell things in an organization? And how do you do that when your organization is remote, when you're trying to do it at a distance? Because those are things that are certainly relevant and certainly still present in everybody's work environment. That stuff hasn't gone away. So we do have graduation criteria, and these are things that we'll be sharing with the cohorts. You'll need to, any cohort member will be responsible for attending a certain number of the live stream sessions. So we'll be keeping track of folks, and we'll make sure that that attendance is something that we keep records of, so that at the end you know exactly where you stand. You'll be dealing with the coaching sessions, completion of the assignments and the supplemental coursework, and then the submission of the capstone at the end. I just want to let folks know that one of the things that we've always done in these programs is former program participants that may have had job responsibilities that required their time, so that they've still got a little bit of the graduation requirements to complete in order to earn their certificate. Those folks may be participating and they may be joining us, and this will be something that will allow you to be able to meet additional folks from additional cohorts, because there's a pretty lively alum that we've been gathering. So this is, you'll enjoy this, because there are going to be a lot of people in your organizations that have had some experience with us. So while we'll spend a lot of time in the future, I just want to give you a kind of a high level sense of what's happening with the Emerge program and the Advanced program. And as I said, we'll make sure that we reach out and ask if you have any questions on this. But we're going to start, with the Emerge program with the basis for any leadership success, which is interpersonal communication and emotional intelligence. Just so that you're aware, every member of the cohort will be participating in an assessment. For anybody who's familiar with previous programs, we did previously use an assessment called Strength Finders. For this program, for lots of different reasons, we've actually made a shift, and we're going to be using an instrument called Type Coach. Type Coach is a Myers-Briggs based personality assessment, but it is actually married and integrated with additional features that really focus on organizational attributes and organizational communication styles. And we feel that this is going to be particularly relevant in this multi-channel world that we live in right now. So you'll be seeing that. If you've got people coming through that cohort, that's what they can expect. Obviously, people are people. Whether they're online or they're in an office, the likelihood that they may have moments of misunderstanding is an absolute going to happen. People are messy, they're emotional. We'll have a lot of conversations about that. And once you go into a digital environment, there are so many more ways that you can create misunderstandings. How do you run effective meetings in COVID times? How do you manage moderated forums? How do you build engagements? There are specific techniques that you can use, and we're going to tell you all the inside secrets. We also have added another feature this year that we're really excited about. It's an industry leadership panel. So the folks in both sessions will have access to a leadership panel that can talk specifically about some of the ways that they've been navigating the COVID crisis. We'll be recruiting folks not only from your organizations, but also folks from outside your organization, different areas of life sciences, to talk a little bit about some of the challenges. What's it like? How do you navigate this stuff when it's happening, minute by minute by minute? We're also going to talk about engagement and some of the basics. How do you deal with team cohesion? How do you deal with effective delegation, particularly in a remote team environment? And then how do you extend culture? How do you build respectful workplaces? There's a lot of conversation about diversity, about implicit bias. Well, now let's put you all in kind of a level playing field where everyone is a box on a screen, and you have to navigate all of these complicated issues, but you have to do this in a dispersed and digital environment. And then our final session is, how do you do things like information sessions like this? How do you get your point across and do public speaking, but do it in a virtual environment where you can't get the energy in the room, and sometimes that's good and sometimes that's a little intimidating. So how are we going to set you up for good success? So before I pop on to the next one, I'm just going to do a quick stop. And Stacy, any questions thus far on anything that we've covered?
No, you're doing a great job.
Okay, great. And I will definitely do around the room real quick before we finish, just so that we'll be able to get your voices in the room if you need to. In the advanced program, as I mentioned, one of the chief differentiators between the emerging and the advanced program is the advanced program will have cohort members who have, they've got some leadership time under their belt. And they've mastered many of the supervisory and managerial basics. And for those of you in this category, you know that the delegation piece might still be hard for you, but at the same time, you've actually had that experience before. In the advanced programs, we're going to take on bigger picture topics, and we're really going to talk about what does strategy look like when you're leading in a crisis situation that's quite dynamic, and it's moving at a very rapid rate. How do you make decisions? How do you create some sort of a strategic objective for your group? And then how do you continue to keep things transparent and maintain people's morale and trust when you have a dynamic and evolving situation? How do you manage conflict and do influence and negotiation online? And this is important because as senior leaders, everything is, you're negotiating all the time for all sorts of things. And certainly we've seen this in this environment where, whether we're talking about, you know, who's going to pay for what, you know, if everyone's working at home, to what does a dispersed team responsibility look like when some people are in the office and some people are not. You know, there's so many dynamics to this environment that are just unique and very specific to what's happening right now. How do you build strategy, but how do you also apply critical thinking? Because your organizations still have to, you know, have revenue to be able to exist. And whether that's on the nonprofit side, you know, with our Rhode Island Quality Institute, how are you going to get those dollars in the door so that you're going to be able to operate, but also how do you continue to build relationships so that those projects are coming in so that you can continue to thrive in the environments? For the for-profit folks in the room, how do you drive business results when things seem chaotic? How do you get people's attention in these environments? And for folks on the education front, again, there still have to be dollars in order for you to be able to operate. We will be doing a leadership panel. Again, we're very excited. This is a new feature along with the one-on-one executive coaching that we have implemented for these sessions. And then how do you navigate in an environment where many of the more traditional leadership approaches, open door leadership, managing people because you can see them, line of sight management, are very, you can't apply them to a remote and a dispersed environment. This is management by objective and management by collaboration and cooperation. So leading as a coach and really thinking about the dynamics of creating engagement, extending culture, these are the things that are challenging people today. And how do you do this on an international scale? Because some of you will be working in not only regional environments, but you might be working in national environments or international environments. And how do things change? Finally, the last session will be about executive presence, but executive presence when you can't be present. And how do you manage these things in a primarily virtual environment? Because right at this particular point in time, we have never had more channels with which to be remote and with which to create touch points with folks But, you know, we got to be able to do that in such a way that we can tie it to some sort of strategy so that as we are getting in front of people, we actually know what it is that we're trying to accomplish. And that's going to be really important. So with that, I'm going to stop sharing, and I'm going to open it up for questions. And I'm just going to kind of pick folks at random right now and see if you have any questions or any comments, or if you need additional detail on anything. Paula Jimenez, I believe, you want to come off mute and you want to join in. Any thoughts or questions or comments?
Yes, no, thank you so much for sharing all that helpful information. I look forward to learning from everybody, hearing everybody's opinions. I guess my main questions are for scheduling, like will we be receiving, you know, everything on a GCal, and I know you mentioned that we'll be having access to Teams and we'll be using that platform, I guess, for the assignments. So I guess it's more organizational question, if that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, and Paula, you know, I will tell you, we are going to be a true, you know, sort of typical digital team today, which is, you know, it's actually pretty unique to have just one platform. Most remote teams are juggling lots and lots and lots of different systems. So we're going to use Teams for our file sharing, and we'll be putting all of our content there so that people will be able to get it there. We're going to use Zoom because Zoom as our learning tool for the live sessions, the live stream sessions, because we have the breakout rooms. And don't be surprised if I send you off to listen to podcasts and various things that I think are really relevant to particular topics. So
Marianne, if I can add to that.
Yep.
The actual process this is happening so quickly, as you all know. So the enrollment forms, whether it's online or manual, hopefully I will have that tomorrow, that I can get that information out to you. We've been doing it manually. DLT had switched to online, but that was for a specific grant type. So I'm just waiting for word for them. At the very minimum, just shoot me well, I have your emails now, but if you're interested, shoot me an email, which class you might, think you might be interested in, and I'll be sure to get all that information out to you. So that's going to be the first step, because I think class starts next week. So
yeah, we're going to do this. We're taking advantage of the opportunity, the funding opportunity to get you good information about how to really manage and lead in this unique time period. So thank you to Carol for doing all the work on that grant. Alyssa, any questions from you? Whoops.
Can you hear me?
Yes,
Or,
I can hear you now.
Okay, great. Yeah, nothing came to mind. I'm just super excited for all of the things that you guys have been talking about. And I'm excited for this like online, like digital platform to like distribute this kind of course. So yeah, I look forward to everything we'll be learning in the next few weeks.
Great. Excellent. Thanks. We're really glad to have you on board. Jill Blockson, any questions?
Hi. Yeah, just kind of to echo Alyssa, I'm really excited to join this type of environment right now. I think that already what you all have said in the last, 43 minutes kind of echoes a lot of the feelings, no matter where you are in your career or what age group you're in or your background. There's been a lot of serious challenge that no matter where you work, it's been a real switch from just being remote or being digital. It's the reason behind why we are is added to so many stressors. So I'm really excited.
Good. And Jill, we're going to give you the benefit of every single piece of experience and expertise we've had, but also we've been front row seats. I had actually been contacted by the CDC very early on in the pandemic to talk to them about remote teams. I've been working with the healthcare system in Rhode Island to help them do different types of communication forums to get information out within the internal groups within their system. We took a whole leadership program online and we took it online overnight. So we're going to share all of those things with you. So everything that we've had experience with, we're gonna talk to you about.
Awesome. Thank you.
You're welcome. Anthony, you have any questions? I think Anthony might actually, I know Anthony's outside, so he might be having some latency issues. Hi, Anthony, can you hear us?
Hi. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah. Do you have any questions?
Sorry, my connection's, yeah, sorry, my connection's a little iffy. It's been a little in and out, but thank you again for the presentation. It was super interesting. My only question would be for the homework. So the homework assignments would primarily be learning new tools, I understand?
The homework assignment, like Anthony, here's an example of a homework assignment for the Emerge program. Many of you are going to have to run moderated meetings. And we're going to pretty much go in depth into how do you keep a moderated forum on track and, you know, doing what it's supposed to do. And at the end of that, the homework assignment is I'm going to say, all right, Anthony, time for you to go and run a meeting using these tools. And the next time we get together, you're going to tell me how it went.
Awesome.
That's
Very
it.
cool.
That's
Thank
it.
you.
That's that's a very specific assignment that anybody in the Emerge program can anticipate. Something very
Awesome.
simple,
Yeah.
and I can give you an assignment that we'll be doing probably in both classes, which is, you know, how do you manage difficult conversations in a virtual environment? We'll be actually walking through some very specific steps. And I'm going to be saying to everybody, guess what? Now you have to go and talk to that difficult person. So you're going to apply all the skills that we just talked about. And then you're going to come back and tell me how it went.
Sounds great. Thank you.
You're welcome.
You'll also have her coaching sessions in between, so you can call her right away. You know, you won't have to wait till the following class.
That's right.
Awesome.
Hi, Charlotte.
Sweet.
Do you have any questions?
Let me just unmute. Hi. Yeah, thank you so much for your presentation. I guess my big question is with the capstone. Can you talk a little bit about what like the deliverable is? I'm trying to understand like just my own time management.
Sure. The capstone is going to be depending on if you're in the Emerge class or if you're in the advanced class, you'll be creating the capstone based on the framework for your particular program, and we're going to do it piece by piece by piece. And so every single time we have a class, you're going to have another piece of the capstone to put together. So by the end of 7 weeks, you're going to have a full capstone. By the end of 7 weeks and the 2 coaching sessions, you'll have a refined capstone. So it's not going to be something where you're going to have to cram at the end. You're actually going to build it as we go.
Okay, that sounds great. Thank you.
You're welcome. Hi, Cindy McDermott. Nice to see you.
Hello, nice to see you too.
Do you have any questions for me?
I don't have any questions. I just think this is incredibly relevant at this time, and I imagine you may be ready to have to pivot too if COVID changes a lot. So it's interesting because we don't know what we're going to be facing a month or 2 from now, and that's the reality. And yeah, so I guess I'd ask that, how much flexibility was in the curriculum if times change? a lot, that the leaders want to pivot the discussion? Is there flexibility for that?
You know, Cindy, I can actually tell you exactly, I will tell you exactly how I handled it with the physician leadership program. It's even more complicated than this because it's a 12-week program that actually spans from February and with a graduation in June. And as you can imagine, in February, we started out face-to-face. In March, when we went on lockdown, we went online. And we went from a typical syllabus to crisis management overnight. And I leveraged all the resources in our networks to pull together lots of really interesting discussions. And I worked with the cohort groups themselves to say what's going to be helpful and what's not going to be helpful. We changed almost everything. And I will tell you that we didn't lose any of the accreditation we had for the program. We didn't lose any of the curriculum time. We actually ended up with several, we just kind of broke it up a little bit, and we ended up with a few extra days in the calendar, but the cohort kind of liked it because they kept saying to me, we love the fact that we can come someplace and not have to talk about COVID 24/7, but we can actually talk about, I'm feeling guilty because I can't do this thing, or I don't even know how to approach this problem. And so people would bring stuff right to the table, and we would adapt to that. So Cindy, to your point, we're gonna, we keep things on a broad brush, but I will tell you, we pick the topics specifically because we think they're gonna be quite relevant. And we'll be making adjustments to, I've had situations where I've come in with a particular syllabus for the day, and the classes looked at me and said, we really need to talk about this. And I'm like going, okay, let's go for it, and have made that adjustment. So we're pretty flexible.
That's such a great example of how you had to pivot in the spring. I didn't realize that you had that cohort. So thank you for sharing that and your willingness to pivot if needed. Yeah,
mostly you're dealing with three women who, Stacy and Carol and I have two mantras. It's got to be relevant, and it's got to be useful. So it's got to be timely and relevant, and it has to be applicable and useful to folks. Those are the tenets of anything that we do.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Hi, Catherine. Question?
Nope, no questions.
Great. Well, thanks so much. I'm sorry that we aren't able to see you in person, but it's very good to have you here and nice to hear your voice.
Thank you.
You're
Thank
welcome.
you for all your information and the program, because I think we're going to learn a lot.
Great. Avery, any questions?
Hi, thank you for the wonderful presentation. I think my only question has to do with the 30-minute one-on-one sessions. I was just curious as to how those would be scheduled. Is that just figuring it out, via email, or?
I'm actually considering launching a Calendarly program, which is an online thing that will allow you folks to be able to go into one link into my calendar and just book the time. So we'll do something like that. I'm looking at those options right now. So as soon as I have the answer to that. And for those of you who are participating, because I don't know how many of you are actually in cohorts and how many of you are coming in to get background information for your organizations, but anybody who is participating in the cohorts, I know this may, be a little uncomfortable initially, but I guarantee you'll get used to it fast. I would love to invite you to come in on video. So whenever possible, let's get you on camera, because as soon as you get on camera and can see the other faces, immediately it helps you feel more connected to the group, and that will be really helpful. So, Faye Howard, any questions?
No, I don't have any questions. I am one of those folks who's just sitting in for informational purposes. I have a staff member that may be attending the program, and it was suggested to me that, oh, why don't you, sit in on the information session so you could learn more. And I want to say that I really am impressed with the program. I think it's going to be great. I think it's great that you're really looking at it through a lens of what's happening now in our environment. And I really appreciate having the opportunity to hear more about the program.
Great, Faye. If at any time, if anybody has, if your organizations have questions, anybody in your organizations have questions, Carol, Stacy, myself will always be available for you. So thanks, Faye. Much appreciate your time today.
Thank you.
Sarah, any questions from you?
Hi, no questions for me, but I wanted to say I really appreciate the addition of the coaching sessions. I think those will be super productive. And I also like the adjustment of having the shorter sessions every 2 weeks. I think that'll be a really great way to continue to stay in touch on a regular basis in this environment that we're all still getting used to.
Thanks, Sarah. I know that you've seen the previous format, and we thought that it was really important that we really take the time to rethink things that we thought would give us the best and most productive experience for everybody. We take it seriously that you're giving us your time, folks. I take that very seriously. So does Stacy, and so does Carol. So again, relevant and practical and applicable. Those are the things we care about. Eve, last but not least, what do you think? Any questions?
Yes, I do have some questions. Let me just see here. I'm trying to, if I can get on video here. Oh, there I am. Hello.
Hi, Eve.
Okay, so a few questions for you. So enrollment forms will come out on the 18th, right? And so how many total students will you have participate in the emerging program and also the advanced program?
The goal was to have 18 students in the emerge class and 16 students total in the advanced class. Correct, Stacy? Am I correct with that?
Close enough. Basically, it's going to boil down to 3 to 4 employees per company with a wait list, but I've already promised somebody 4. It's happening quickly, as I said. So if you've got 5 or 6 people, let me know.
Okay, yeah, that was my next question, actually. Okay, and then
I knew it would be.
And then, what are the due dates for the enrollment forms?
Saturday? No, just kidding. As long as I know that who's going to be in the classes and I can start setting up, we'll have a little bit of leeway in the next week or 2 to actually get the paperwork filled out and over to DLT.
And Eve, just so you know, what the assessment that I referenced earlier that we'll be using for both of the classes will be completed online, and we'll just need participants' emails so that we can email them the link to the assessment so that they can complete that before the 24th.
For the 24th. All right. Thank you very much.
Eve, what organization are you with?
Medica.
Oh, excellent. Thank you.
Eve is in HR. She works with Steve and Cindy.
Okay, nice to meet you.
Yeah, and Eve, we've had some fabulous folks from Zymetica, so we're so excited to have you folks continue.
Thank you.
So, any other questions?
I'm good.
Okay.
We'll be enrolling as we go along. So even if it's the day before, the day of, if somebody needs to jump on, don't worry about the paperwork. That's we just want to get everything up and running so we don't lose too much time.
Yeah, I think
we all had to act very quickly because this project is funded by CARES Act funding. And there's a timeline on that funding that we had to meet, and therefore we had to compress the training and change the format. And so we're trying to make it easy for you, but also we had deadlines that we had to meet on our end too.
Great. And flexibility, that's sort of our watchword here. You know, this is a point in time where if you're not flexible, you're already in trouble. So making sure that you can build flexibility into your process, your thinking. So you're dealing with 3 pretty flexible folks here. So just kind of don't be afraid to reach out to us. So one of the tenets I'm going to tell you about good meeting management is meet your time frame. And, you know, we promised you this was just going to be 1 hour from 12 to 1. Guess what? It's like 12:59 right now. So we're going to meet that mandate. Just want to say thank you so much for coming today. And with that, I'll turn it back over to Carol to close out.
Thank you. I want to thank Mary Ann for your excellent presentation. Thank all of you for coming and attending. I hope that you will be joining us or your colleagues will be joining us. And I want to thank Stacy again for being our program manager and helping us get everything organized and up and running. So we'd love to have all of you participate. Mary Ann is a fantastic trainer. You will learn so much and have so much fun and build your network at the same time. So hopefully we'll see all of you in the training.